So, what are the 5 skills that actually matter in college but no one teaches you? You see, we focus on grades and getting experience. Nothing wrong with that, but in order to get there, you need something more. These something more skills are rarely taught in class. In this video, I'm going to show you why being resourceful is the foundation for making smart decisions under pressure, building mental resilience, and mastering communication, all while cutting out the noise and focusing on what only truly matters. First things first, let's talk about resourcefulness. Imagine this, you are in your second year or your second semester in college, and you realize that you need research experience to boost your resume or your CV. But you don't know where to start. You spend hours on Google searching for it, you spend hours on LinkedIn, but everything feels vague. You email your professors, but they don't respond. Meanwhile, you hear other colleagues and friends getting into labs for research opportunities, using resources you did not even know it existed. So, here is the secret: college is full of hidden resources. So, just on your university website, if you look properly, there will be the list of research projects under a professor or the head of the department. You just have to know where to look. Also, your university email can get you access to a lot of free paid software. For example, Microsoft Office, Teams, even cloud storage on OneDrive, and also certain premium websites where you cannot open to access research papers. If you log in using your email ID from your university, you can access them. You see, even with just your university email, you can access a lot of free software and resources. There might even be a lot of hidden fundings available deep down in your university website and department. So the trick is learning to ask the right questions and leveraging what's already available to you. For example, a simple email like, "Hey, professor, I read about your research on X and I'm really interested. Do you have any opportunities for students to contribute?" Just this simple email can open doors. So the key takeaway here is the people who get ahead might not necessarily be the smartest people in everything, but they are great at finding answers. Once you develop resourcefulness, you will never feel stuck again. And such kind of skills are what we know as soft skills. And no one teaches us this. And speaking of finding the right opportunities, if you are a student looking for scholarships or universities abroad, you need help crafting a standout CV, or you want expert feedback on your motivation letter, I offer personalized consulting services to get you ahead. All for a small fee, you can get expert help. All you have to do is visit my website in the description. There, click on book now and you fill the Google Forms. All the information is embedded in there and I will take care of the rest because I have done this before. Now it's my turn to help you out. Now, let's talk about decision making under pressure because we as students have a lot on our plate. So imagine this, you have 2 exams, a very big project, and an application deadline all in the same week. You're staring at your schedule. Now you're overwhelmed. And when you are overwhelmed, you don't know what to prioritize. And it keeps you from moving forward. So what do? You try cramming everything at once, pulling all-nighters one night before the exam. You get stressed, and this stress in turn makes you less productive. You're exhausted, and no matter how hard you work, it feels like you're barely keeping up. So here is a solution. Smart decision making under pressure is all about knowing what actually moves the needle. So what do? Instead of panicking, you ask yourself a very few simple questions, like what's the one thing that will make everything easier? And the simple answer to that might just be planning ahead in time. So by planning out things ahead, even if deadlines are approaching, you know what to expect, you are not overwhelmed. Maybe it's about breaking your big projects into manageable chunks over time and planning out things ahead. And another thing might be focusing on exams that weigh more on your overall GPA. For example, subjects with credit hours of 5 will always weigh more in your overall GPA than subjects with credit hours of 2. So you should focus more and give more study time to the subject with 5 credit hours. You see, high performers do not always do everything. They just do the right thing. So the key takeaway is, in college, you will have a lot of things to do. The students who thrive are the ones who make intentional choices and not just react to pressure. So the best thing is to plan ahead and only focus on what truly matters and not be overwhelmed. Now let's talk about resilience, and not any kind of resilience. I'm talking about mental resilience. And this is very important because here the mind controls the body and not the other way around. So imagine this: you really worked hard on a project or studied for weeks on an exam. You were really confident until the results came back. It's lower than you expected. Or maybe you got a rejection email from the company you always wanted to intern at. And this simple setback can affect you a lot mentally. And when you are in a situation like this, your mind immediately goes into self doubt. You start asking questions about self doubt, like, am I not good enough? And it's tempting to spiral. You skip classes, you lose motivation, and even start to wonder if the field of studies you are in is it really cut out and made for you. All of this self doubt and self assessment is all because we are not mentally resilient sometimes, and it's perfectly fine. All we have to do is bounce back from it. So, here is the solution. Every successful person out there has faced failure. And the difference between them and us is that they did not let their failures define them. So, instead of asking, why did this happen to me? You should shift to, what should I learn from this? Because there is a lot to learn from rejection, even more than success. Even myself, I learned a lot from failure. These are the 3 things I learned from failure. If you want to check it out, you can click here. So instead of asking, why did this happen to me? You should ask, what should I learn, or what can I learn from this? If your exam score was bad, was it your study method? Did you focus too much on memorization instead of understanding? You see, every setback is a feedback, and this only makes you better if you use it. So the key takeaway here is rejection is not the end. It is just a redirection. The people who succeed aren't the ones who never fail, but they are the ones who keep on going. Now let's talk about effective communication. And no, I'm not just talking about public speaking. No matter what your profession is, whether you're an engineer, you're a researcher, you do sales, you do marketing, you need to be really good at communication. Because conflicts happen when there is no communication or effective communication. Say you need something, maybe a professor's help, a letter of recommendation, or a job referral from your employer. You send them an email and you get no response. Days pass, weeks pass, and nothing. Sounds familiar? You wonder if they're ignoring you on purpose. But here's the truth. No one is really too busy to just answer to an email. And you start thinking like, did I say something wrong? Or do they think that you are not worth their time? Meanwhile, someone else gets the exact help you needed, just because they know how to ask the right way. And here is how it works. 1. Keep it short. 2. Be specific. And 3. This is very important. Make it easy to say yes. So instead of a vague, can you help me with X? Try, I saw your research on Y, and I'd love to contribute in any way I can. Could we set up a quick 15-minute chat? Or can I come visit you in your office? Then you go to meet them, but unfortunately, they tell you that they don't have an open position for you at the moment. Then you could ask them to recommend you to any of their colleagues that might be open to welcoming you. You see, this is how you communicate effectively. Just by asking the right questions, you might get the best opportunity you never thought possible. So the key takeaway here is communication is not just about talking. It's about getting people want to respond to you. And if you master this, your doors will open to you everywhere you go. Now I want to hear from you so far which of these skills might be really useful to you. Drop a comment down below, and so far if you're enjoying this video and if this video is insightful to you, please hit the like and subscribe. Let's continue. Now let's talk about selective ignorance. It's all about filtering the noise. Think about it. Every day you are bombarded with advice. You see all over the internet, on YouTube, about productivity hacks, study methods, life-changing morning routines, and a lot of things. Everyone there claims that they have the secret to success, right? And after watching them, you try to follow everything. Waking up at 5 a.m., using 10 different apps to track your habits, and cramming in extra courses just because someone on the internet tells you to learn something new. And once you start doing this, you realize that instead of feeling more productive, you feel more exhausted and overwhelmed. So here is what I mean by selective ignorance. The key here isn't about doing more, it's about doing less, but better. You can simply filter out the noise by asking very simple questions like, does this actually help me move forward? If you got a tip from someone and this tip makes your life harder without clear benefits, drop it. Focus on what works for you and not what works for everyone else. So the key takeaway here is the most successful people don't do everything, I hope. They do what matters and they learn to ignore the rest. So these 5 skills: resourcefulness, decision making under pressure, mental resilience, effective communication, and selective ignorance are not just useful in college. They will give you an edge in everything you do in life. No one is born with these skills. They are built. And the sooner you start developing them, the sooner you will start seeing the difference. Because these are very essential. And speaking of essentials, here are top 17 student must-have essentials under $50. Feel free to check it out.